Hi, I'm Thom Fisher. Really nice to be here. And as you look at me, yes, I look like the older love child of actor Owen Wilson and Ellen DeGeneres. That's on a good day. On a bad day, more like a cross between Gary Busey and Donald Trump. And on weekends, don't tell my wife, Betty White and Lady Gaga, hey. So my first time here, and I used my car's GPS to get here. My GPS is pretty interesting. It uses the voices of celebrities to get me where I'm going. First up was actor Nicolas Cage. Just take any route possible, Tom. The way I'm offered any movie role and take it. Next up was Matthew McConaughey. So you want to get to the comedy venue? Well, I say you make 3 right-hand turns. All right. Tell you a little bit about myself. Growing up, I was the oldest of 3 siblings. I had 2 younger sisters. So as the big brother, I had to show my younger sisters everything. I remember even had to teach them how to use a tampon. Oh, you think that's funny? My ass is still killing me. Anyway, I'm originally from New Jersey. That's a rough place. For example, in New Jersey, the state gem is concrete. The state flower, pond scum. The state animal, Miss New Jersey. How many New Jerseyans does it take to screw in a light bulb? 3. 1 to screw in the light bulb, 2 to strangle the witness. As a kid one time, I walked by a construction site and for fun stuck my hand into a sidewalk of wet cement. But when I put my hand in the cement, underneath I felt another hand. So specifically, I'm from Atlantic City. Very rough place. If Dorothy landed in Atlantic City instead of Oz and looked underneath that famous boardwalk, she would be, winos and hookers and pimps, oh my, winos and hookers and pimps. Anybody out here remember what killed the Wicked Witch of the West at the end of The Wizard of Oz? You know the scene I'm talking about. Melting, I'm melting. Anybody? It was water. You know what that means? That means that she never bathed, and those monkeys had to grow wings just to flap the stench back at her. So I actually moved from one casino town, Atlantic City, to another, Las Vegas, Nevada. When I first got to Vegas, the slot machines still accepted coins. And I recognized right away that I had a gambling problem. One time, I kept putting in quarter after quarter after quarter into this machine. Finally, a voice came out of the machine and said, either make a call or hang up this payphone. See if I payphone is where you... Oh, never mind. The big show on the Las Vegas Strip when I was there was Siegfried and Roy's Trained White Tiger show. Until one night, one of the trained white tigers wasn't so well trained anymore. And he took a hunk out of Roy. I remember the media went crazy when that happened. A reporter even interviewed the white tiger who said, for a dinner show, the food's not bad. Now, for many years in Las Vegas, I worked at the Wynn Hotel Casino, fabulous 5-star resort on the Strip. I got to see the incredible suites that they comped the big high roller gamblers into. One had a big circular bed, and right above it, a gigantic circular mirror on the ceiling. And for the male gamblers, it read, objects are larger than they appear. Although I would think that would be difficult in the middle of the night if the guest woke up, looked up at the ceiling, they might call the front desk to complain that they were being attacked by a pajama-clad skydiver. The Wynn was unique in that it featured an 18-hole golf course right next to the property. And this came into play one day when an incredible whale, big high roller, came in to gamble. He brought his girlfriend with him. She didn't really gamble, so he gave her a big wad of cash and told her to go shopping in the Wynn shops. The Wynn shops cost a lot of money. It didn't take her long to burn through that cash. So she came back to where her man was playing, and she said, I'm bored. The gambler looked at his casino host and says, is there anything you can do for me? Host says, yes, there is. She's never played golf before, right? Perfect. We'll comp her a free golf lesson with the Wynn Golf Pro. She'll be tied up for hours you can play to your heart's content. So off she went for her free comped golf lesson. And having never played before, sure enough, she couldn't do anything. She couldn't grip the club. She couldn't hit the ball. Nothing. In frustration, she looked at the Wynn Golf Pro and said, what am I doing wrong? And the golf pro said, ma'am, I don't want to be inappropriate, but the best way that I've ever found to teach a young lady like you how to properly grip the golf club is you grip the golf club the same way that you would grip your man's, you know what. Oh. So she gripped the golf club like she was told, took a swing, and blam! 200 yards straight down the fairway. Incredible. She looked at the golf pro and says, "That was pretty good, huh?" And the golf pro says, "It sure was, but listen, next time you don't have to put your mouth on top of the club." So, speaking of gambling, you like that transition? I do. Sports betting is now legal in Ohio. So the next big betting event for sports is the NCAA men's basketball tournament. Maybe you know it as March Madness. And so, being from Vegas, my advice is to always bet on the school with the lowest academic standards. You want your money on a team whose uniform numbers is the same as their SAT scores. You want dumb jocks that think that the Gettysburg Address is where Lincoln lived, or that Moby Dick is some sort of terrible medical condition. Next year, Ohio State has this covered for its football players. They're going to make all the Buckeye football players double major in agriculture and biology. That way they will know their ass from a hole in the ground. Going to be the same at other big schools too. Next year, UCLA will stand for You Can't Learn Anything. USC, Unemployment Seems Certain. BYU, Beyond Your Understanding, Mormon or less. And, of course, at the University of Michigan, the letters UM will stand for what they have always stood for. You morons. Now, I went to Ohio U, where being up for the game for the football team meant, "Hey, man, I've been up all week." In pro football, Browns had a rough season, didn't they? The acquisition of controversial quarterback Deshaun Watson kind of blew the season up. Watson had to serve an 11-game suspension, although I understand he made some money during that time being the spokesperson for Massage Envy. I guess Watson wears the number 4 because, he likes foreplay. So when we moved to Cleveland, my wife and I, we were offered tickets to the game between the Browns and the Steelers. I was a little bit hesitant to go to the game because of the reputation of rowdy Steeler fans. But my friends reassured me that those fans would not be able to attend the game because of, parole restrictions. They said that many Steeler fans were the first in their family not to walk on all fours. So a strange year in the NFL. Tom Brady retired, and his wife divorced him. As grounds for the divorce, she cited deflated balls in New England, whatever that meant. The NFL, also, no team hired politically social protesting quarterback Colin Kaepernick. No team hired again for the 6th straight year. One team almost did, but they were concerned that every time Kaepernick got down under center, the other team's band would immediately play the national anthem and he would take a knee. And the NFL finished its most recent study on the effect of player concussions, concluding that the only people who suffer more concussions than NFL players are NFL players' wives and girlfriends. Ouch. But I'm getting into some other sports. I went to a Cleveland Monsters minor league hockey game. That was fun. Although they're struggling with attendance, so to make things more interesting, the Monsters say that for future games, they're going to paint the puck white and make those guys try to find it on the ice. Jean-Claude, have you seen it? No, I don't know. Where did it go? I'm also getting into UFC, Ultimate Fighting. Like many people, my favorite UFC fighter is Conor McGregor. But did you see Conor McGregor's last fight? He got knocked out cold. Put it this way, Conor McGregor fell to the floor faster than Bill Cosby's dates after their first cocktail. Boom. This is my favorite sport, still has to be baseball. But the Cleveland Guardians had a great season, didn't they? Except, of course, for renaming the team the Cleveland Guardians. Politically correct, my God. So you've got the Cleveland Guardians in baseball, the Washington Commanders in football. Commanders? What, the name inept politicians wasn't available? Back when he was president, Bill Clinton took Hillary Clinton to one of the Major League Baseball opening day games. Little known story, right before the game started, Bill scooped up Hillary in his arms and he violently threw her out of the presidential box. Secret Service rushed up and whispered in Bill's ear and he said, "Oh, I made a mistake, but I get it now. These people invited me here because they wanted me to throw out the first pitch." I'm sorry, did I wrinkle that pantsuit? This upcoming baseball season, Bill's going to be a guest celebrity commentator on a national broadcast. Could be fun. "Hi, it's me, Bill. You remember, the president that came between two bushes?" And there's lots of nice-looking women here at Dodger Stadium. at least judging from the tops of their heads, which is, of course, a view I'm used to. But as I look around, I see a chubby brunette with a stain on her dress, and there's some ugly guy in a leisure suit next to her. Oh, wait a minute. Not an ugly guy. That's Hillary. Hi, Hillary. I love you. I think why I like baseball best is because my Little League baseball coach was a pretty special individual. Fred Rogers. You might know him better as children's show host Mr. Rogers. It's a beautiful day on the baseball diamond, Tom, and we need you to get a base hit. Because if you don't worry about your mom. Don't worry about your dad. Just worry about that puppy of yours that I have locked in the trunk of the car. Can you say extortion? Sure you can. I knew you could. So now I want to do something that the media says a stand-up comedian should never do. That's talk about politics. But you know what? I don't care. Why? Because I pick on everybody. I am an equal opportunity political annoyer, so let's start at the top. President Joe Biden. Joe Biden just turned 80 years old, and he knows people are very aware of how old he is. So conscious of that, he's promised that he will take periodic tests for senility. You know, if he doesn't forget. So think about it. Biden's 80 years old with access to the nuclear button. When my dad was 80, we didn't let him use the remote control on the television. And so now Biden's bringing in somebody older than he is, 90 years old Clint Eastwood, to deal with problem Russian President Vladimir Putin. So Eastwood will resurrect Dirty Harry and say, all right, Mr. Putin, I know what you're thinking. Does the U.S. have 5,000 nuclear warheads or 6? When all this excitement, I kind of lost track myself. But seeing as we have Joe Biden, 80 years old, and doesn't know the difference between the nuclear button and a remote control for the television and can blow your Kremlin clean off, you've got to ask yourself, do I feel lucky? Well, do your comrade? I think President Biden should try to use other celebrities to do public service announcements, to encourage people to get their vaccine and boosters. The first one could be Christopher Walken. Hello to you. Christopher Walken here saying, don't worry. If you get a booster, you won't suddenly take pauses for no reason. It's crazy. Next up, Liam Neeson from the Taken movies. This is Liam Neeson, the star of Taken, Taken the sequel, and Taken Part 3. My family leaves their doors unlocked, so they keep getting bloody taken. Idiots. So, if you get your vaccine or booster, then that'll be the end of it. But if you don't, I will look for you. I will find you, and I will swab your arm with alcohol. All right, well, I changed that last line just a little bit, but I think my favorite celebrity PSA is going to be Al Pacino. I don't want to bother you. I said I don't want to bother you, but you need to get your shot in the hoo-ah, or I will lose my mind. So, because I'm an equal opportunity political annoyer, let's pick on the other side. Donald Trump has announced that he's a presidential candidate once again. And when he made the announcement, a reporter asked him what Trump thought, about foreign aid. And the Donald responded, foreign aid? I don't think we need any. Same reporter followed up with a question about the growing population problem on the planet. Trump thought, population problem. Well, the way I look at it, I had 2 parents. They had 4 parents. It must be dwindling. Trump had to run because he had too much spare time on his hands at Mar-a-Lago. I heard down there that he was having a lot of sex to kill the time. Can you imagine what that sounds like? Oh, baby, this is so fantastic, so wonderful. Baby, you're the greatest because, of course, I'm the greatest, and everybody knows that. Little to the left, ooh. Little to the right, ooh. As always, thank you, Ivanka. President's Day just passed, and I always use that occasion to think about past presidents. I think about a young John Kennedy playing touch football on the front lawn at the White House. And we all remember how many times he scored. John Kennedy said, by the end of this decade, we will land a man on the moon, the same way I landed on top of actress Marilyn Monroe. Later on that decade, Richard Nixon, the big dick himself, told a reporter that he had seen the X-rated movie Deep Throat 8 times. Reporter asked why. Nixon said because he wanted to get it down pat. And then finally, George W. Bush at a White House dinner reception actually waved hello to Stevie Wonder. Hi, Stevie, hi. I have no punchline for that. It actually happened. You can look it up. So, it's one thing to stand up here and pick on politicians. It's another to do something about it. That changes. I am announcing tonight that I, Thom Fisher, am now a candidate for the office of President of the United States of America, and I've got a plan for victory. What I'm going to do is I'm going to legally change my name to none of the above. So when you go to vote, you can vote Republican, Democratic, none of the above. I know I can count on you. So before the race starts, I think I'm going to catch a couple of more movies. I love superheroes. And I went to see the most recent Spider-Man movie. So cool. Spider-Man perched on top of a skyscraper, shooting out white goo from his hands down to the street below. Yeah, Spider-Man does that. He's a superhero. But if I did that, I'm a pervert. I'm going right to jail. I remember I liked heroes growing up. I watched the old TV show Lassie. Anybody remember that show? It was about a heroic collie dog and his 8-year-old owner, Timmy. Every episode of Lassie was the same. Timmy would fall down a well. Lassie would run back to Timmy's house to alert his parents. So Timmy falls down the well. Lassie runs back to the house. And Lassie, is something wrong, girl? Is it Timmy? Did he fall down the well? Oh, Lassie, you've saved the day. I always thought it would be funny if they replaced Lassie instead with Elvis Presley. Timmy falls down the well for the 100th time. Elvis Presley runs back to Timmy's house to alert his parents. Elvis, is something wrong? Uh-huh. Is it Timmy? Did he fall down the well again? Uh-huh. Oh, Elvis, you have saved the day. Thank you. Thank you very much. TV's so messed up now, especially the commercials. This past holiday, I saw a politically correct commercial by Mattel for a sexually ambiguous G.I. Joe doll. It was called G.I. Just Don't Know. He's a sailor on the USS Fabulous. I know, though, I do that voice a little too well, my wife tells me. That's because I watched all of those Richard Simmons exercise videos in the 90s. Remember him? He's retired now, but just the other day, Richard Simmons went to his doctor. He says, "Doctor, it's me, Richard Simmons. And doctor, I think I'm pregnant." The doctor decided to play along, says, "All right, Mr. Simmons, if you're pregnant, who's the father?" And Richard Simmons says, "What? Who's the father? Do you think I have eyes in the back of my head?" Now, when I first moved here, I remember the Cleveland car commercial I saw with a really pretty blonde lady saying, "I want to see you in a Ken Ganley Kia." And my first thought when I saw that was, thank God she's not selling trucks. I want to, in a Ken Ganley truck. I always wanted to have as my own spokesperson Alan Rickman. He played Hans Gruber in the first Die Hard movie, which, by the way, is a Christmas movie. Alan Rickman would say, "Today's comedy stand-up is sponsored by 5 Hour Energy, X-Lax, and Pepto-Bismol. And so for those of you on the go, those of you who need to go, and those of you who just went." The most interesting commercials, unfortunately, are the ones for adult-oriented products. There's one you didn't see during the Super Bowl. It was by Pfizer for nasal spray Viagra. Nasal spray Viagra. For dickheads. Then later on that night, you could see one with actress Kim Kardashian. "Hi, my name is Kim. My name is Kim. Line. Kardashian. Oh, right. Kim Kardashian for new and improved wet naps. Hey, when you don't have time for a complete wet dream, how about a wet nap?" Even Madison Avenue is now even using children's fictional characters to sell products. "Hey, Kermit the Frog here. And someone asked me one time, how come frog sex lives are so short? Well, it's because us frogs hop on, hop off, and croak. But if you've got a Miss Piggy to take home and pork like I do, then be sure to use the new designer condoms, Calvin Climax. Calvin Climax comes in 3 sizes. There's large, medium, and Congressman George Santos size, extra, extra small. In the wee hours, you'll see what I think is the most egregious adult-oriented commercial for male enhancement cream. Just like what it sounds. Male enhancement cream is supposed to make you bigger down there. So I was thinking, if that product really works, don't guys who use male enhancement cream also end up with really large hands too? I walk around like Mickey Mouse. I'm trying to be healthy. I'm a middle-aged guy, and I follow all the trendy health fads, even ones I shouldn't. I tried that Hollywood health fad and got a coffee enema. Consequently, I'm no longer welcome at Starbucks. I even, as a middle-aged man, did what I should. I got a colonoscopy procedure. It's really easy to do. They do it in the OR. And I remember coming out of anesthesia, and I clearly heard the voice of my doctor, the surgeon, ask everybody in the OR if anybody had seen his watch. Yeah, that's really funny. Doc, you left your watch in my keister. Tick, 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 tick. Now, I want to be skinny, but I've given up on that. I just don't want to be overly large. I don't want to wind up as a hug and chalker. What's a hug and chalker, you ask? Hug and chalker is somebody that is so large that if you had to, you would hug, draw a chalk mark, and hug the rest. I remember the days when I would go to the dance club and watch all the girls in their pilot skirts. What's a pilot skirt, you ask? You ask a lot of questions. A pilot skirt is a skirt so short you can see the cockpit. But I'm a married man now. I've been married for 10 happy years, out of about 20 altogether. When I think of marriage, one word comes to mind, and that word is suicide. Nah, I don't mean that. I meant homicide. No. I mean, I still open the car door for my wife, but it's the passenger door, and the car's going 70. My wife's pretty interesting. She's a former college gymnast. Yeah, that sounds pretty good, guys, doesn't it? And it was, in the beginning. Now, every time after we fool around, she sounds more like a gymnastics judge. Sorry, honey, I had to deduct 0.2 of a point last night for that sloppy dismount. She's a moaner and a screamer, but that's only when I'm trying to convince her to have sex. If I want to get lucky, I have to sneak up behind her like I'm Elmer Fudd in a Bugs Bunny cartoon. Shh, be very, very quiet. I'm on a booty call. Now, I have to confess that my wife recently caught me watching porn on the computer. Although I wriggled off the hook pretty well, I convinced her that the only reason I was watching porn on the computer is that I like to listen to really bad jazz. Bow, chicka, wow, wow, chicka, wow, wow. Big news in my wife's life. She got her first 2 ever tattoos. She's very starstruck, so she got a tattoo on the inside of her left thigh of Academy Award-winning actor Tom Hanks. Tattoo on the inside of her right thigh of Oscar winner Leonardo DiCaprio. She was very proud of it, and she came home to surprise me. She stood in front of me, wriggled out of her skirt, and asked me if I recognized who they were. So I looked, and I said, baby, I don't know who those 2 guys on the outside are, but that one in the middle is definitely Abraham Lincoln. Myself. So before I go, I want to thank you for being here, and I want to use the words of the late great Beatle John Lennon on the top of that building when they were filming Let It Be. He said, I'd like to say thank you on behalf of the voices of myself, and I hope we pass the audition. And by the way, Forrest Gump got it wrong. Life is not a box of chocolates. It is a bowl of jalapenos. What you do today can certainly burn your ass tomorrow. So before I leave you, I just want to wish for everyone here the same long, happy life that my grandfather lived. My grandfather died peacefully in his sleep at the age of 87. Unfortunately, the 3 other people that were in his car at that very moment, they died screaming their heads off. Don't forget to vote for none of the above. I'm Thom Fisher. Thank you all very, very much. Good night.